CES 2022 has been and gone and brought some big announcements, including colour-changing BMWs, invisible headphones, NFTs on Samsung TVs, and Sony revealing a prototype SUV vehicle. But I'm here today to talk all things TV in 2022. LG, Samsung and Sony have all staked their claims for the best new features for TVs this year, and it's left us reeling. If, like I was a few days ago, thinking, oh my god, where do I start? Do I need to throw my current TV away? Don't worry, we've spent the time breaking down what's been announced, cutting through all the marketing hype and the jargon to find out, in our expert opinion, what's actually worth knowing. It's also important to remember that CES is a PR event. It's a chance for companies to advertise their best content, a bit like a highlight reel on Instagram, isn't that right, Katie? But we're here for the real world behind the scenes truth. It's our job to get hands-on with these models, putting them side by side, comparing them with last year's models, all in real world tests. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're only 16 days into 2022, all in good time. Get in the comments and let us know what you want to see from us, but for now, these are the 3 key things you need to know about TVs in 2022, the rise of mini LED, the battle of the OLEDs, and upgrades for gaming. First up is the rise of the mini LED. 2022 is the year where Sony finally enters the world of mini LED with 2 new releases, the Z9K, which is an 8K mini LED TV, and the X95K, which is a 4K mini LED model. Mini LED isn't new this year. Samsung, LG and others already feature mini LED TVs in their lineup, but with Sony entering the market and some of those other brands bringing out new models and enhanced tech, it's clear this is something which is here to stay. So what is it? Well, in essence, these TVs, they take full array LED one step further by increasing the density of LEDs in one area. So we're talking thousands of smaller individual LEDs. And these TVs are similar to standard LED TVs, which use a backlight as its source of brightness. The LEDs are not individually lit like they are on an OLED, for example, but there are now hundreds of backlighting zones compared with dozens on standard LEDs. And what this means is that there's far more control over those LEDs with refined local dimming and smaller dimming zones, which altogether offer a brighter and more vivid picture with more control. With mini LED TVs, you still have the potential for some blooming, where you can see a halo effect around bright objects or elements on the screen on a dark background. So to combat this, Sony have added XR backlight master drive algorithms, which dynamically adjust the backlight to dramatically cut down the chance of blooming. Other brands are also doing similar things, so LG have announced their new 2022 range of mini LED QNED TVs, which are set to provide different degrees of precision dimming and better contrast and brightness to get closer to OLED picture quality. Samsung are also still focusing on their Neo QLED models in 2022, which utilize mini LED technology. This year's models make use of new technology as their Neo quantum processor introduces advanced contrast mapping to increase brightness. So from all this, we can see that Sony, Samsung and LG are all taking steps to enhance the brightness on their mini LED models and improve accuracy. So for us, we're really excited to see what Sony can do with this technology, especially building on the success of their full array models, most notably the X95J from 2021. If they really nail it, then they could own this space. Brands like TCL have already gotten close to OLED, and they don't have the expertise of the likes of Sony. So I think we're in for a really interesting few years of development in this space. So for us, it's definitely tech to keep your eye on. I can't see these coming in cheap though, but we're going to wait and see when they launch. Fingers crossed they surprise us all. So while we're talking about mini LEDs, I also want to mention that Samsung are refreshing their micro LED TVs. Another one? But to now feature an 89-inch model, and despite the name, micro LED is not the same as mini LED. So to keep things nice and simple, the key difference with micro LED is that this does not use a backlight to light up the display, and is therefore a lot closer to OLED as it has self-illuminated pixels. In fact, there are around 25 million of them, but they differ to OLED as they can offer a higher peak brightness thanks to its use of inorganic material. So what on earth is that? So basically, not only does this give you a brighter picture, but it also gives them a longer lifetime advantage over OLED TVs, and also comes with a minimal risk of screen burn-in, a lot of you will be pleased to know. Now these TVs are coming in big sizes. I'm talking 89-inch, 101-inch, and 110-inch. I literally can't even believe I'm saying 110-inch. That's literally double the size of my TV. But this will no doubt come with even bigger price tags. And there are rumours of them costing over $100,000, maybe even pushing $150,000. But Samsung are promising best-in-class picture quality with these, so we are excited to get a closer look at what should be the market leaders for TVs. Samsung actually set up side-by-side comparisons of their new micro LED and mini LED TVs, which you can check out in HDTV's video, which is great to see. But we have to bear in mind that this is a comparison set up by Samsung, who are in full control of that content and the environment. So I do want to see this in our own real-world tests. However, what these comparisons do highlight is that micro LED will be considerably brighter than mini LED, let alone OLED, and is their flagship top-tier technology in 2022. It has made me excited for the future of micro LED, and although it is too early to call, I think it is plausible to think that this could be the future for TVs once these become more affordable. Now 2022 sees Sony launch the first ever QD OLED TVs, which is very interesting, and let me tell you why. As you might already be aware, Sony usually purchase their OLED panels from LG Display, but they are switching things up this year and purchasing their QD OLED panels from Samsung Display. So we were quite surprised that Sony were the ones to launch QD OLED at CES and not Samsung, who are also bringing out a range of QD OLED TVs. And with Samsung manufacturing these TVs, we of course think that they will launch their QD OLEDs first, with Sony coming slightly behind. And why wouldn't they? They are manufacturing them after all. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let's cover what QD OLED actually is then. So first of all, it's short for Quantum Dot Organic Light Emitting Diode. Now, quantum dot might sound familiar, and that's because Samsung have been using this on their LED TVs for a number of years now. QD OLED is a hybrid technology which combines OLED and QLED for the best of both. For me, I often find myself asking customers looking for a new TV, what environment do you watch the TV in? Well, if it's a brightly lit room, then I'd say maybe LED, which tends to perform better in brightly lit rooms. But if it's a darker environment, then I'd probably say OLED, because they tend to have better contrast and give you better immersion. But QD OLED might be the best solution for someone with a mixture of these environments. Basically, these TVs combine the individual pixel control from OLED, which gives incredible contrast and perfect blacks, with the brightness that we've really only seen on QLEDs. OLEDs tend to be dimmer as they have to pass light through color filters to achieve red and green pixels, for example. QD OLEDs eliminate the need for filters as they use blue OLED with red and green quantum dot color converters instead. Now it does sound a bit technical, but the long and short of it is that you will get purer colors and a brighter display from QD OLED. Now for you, the end viewer, the main thing you need to know is that these TVs will not just offer great contrast, deep blacks, a brighter picture and a broader range of colors, but also bring 1. Better viewing angles. Sony are actually claiming that their new A95K has the best viewing angles ever for a consumer TV. And 2, something I wasn't expecting, which is better eye health. And these TVs actually reduce the presence of harmful blue light, something which can have a negative impact on your sleep. Now, this all sounds amazing, right? From watching Digital Trends video of Caleb seeing these in person, we're really excited to test this all out, but I am waiting to see the performance in our studio and see the price tags. OLEDs are notoriously expensive to manufacture, and QD technology will only add to that further. Now, rather disappointingly, LG have decided to double down on their OLED Evo technology rather than join in on the QD OLED hype. They're renaming it OLED EX, but don't be fooled, this is the same tech that they brought out last year. However, where last year this technology was only found in their top-of-the-range G or Gallery series, they've now brought this to their C series, which features the upgrade to the hugely popular C1, the LG C2. And this means this technology is now available at a more accessible price point. And what is OLED Evo or EX, I hear you ask? Well, this is LG's solution for enhancing the brightness of their OLED TVs, which I guess makes QD OLED unnecessary for them. OLED EX TVs use deuterium, an organic material with a longer lifespan that can withstand a higher voltage, which allows them to push the red and blue brightness further without impacting the lifespan of your TV, as well as adding a green element. Now, the boosted brightness of the three colours combine to make the OLED EX brighter than any OLED before, which will get you punchier images and better HDR performance. Now, it will be interesting to see how they compare when we test them out. So, who's your money on, OLED EX or QD OLED? One exciting announcement that LG have made is the launch of not only an 83-inch OLED, but also a 97-inch. Previously, the biggest OLED they offered was a 77-inch. They are really raising the bar this year and showing that there is a market out there for those huge TVs with even bigger price tags. I guess we're just going to have to keep grafting, guys. On the other side of the scale, a perhaps even more exciting announcement is that they will also be offering a 48 and 42-inch OLED TV model. Yes, OLED. I can practically hear the gamers shaking with excitement right now. And this brings me nicely onto our final big news from CES, and that is gaming updates on 2022 TVs. Sony have announced that their 2022 range will be PS5 ready and will auto-configure when you connect to PS5 to optimize image quality. They'll also finally offer VRR and ALLM at launch, as well as support for 4K 120 FPS on their HDMI inputs. Now, LG were already further ahead in the gaming department than Sony last year, which is why the LG C1 was our top pick for a gaming TV in 2021. But they have made one additional upgrade, which is that any TV with HDMI 2.1, which is all of their G and C series, they will now have full 48 gigabits per second, which means that it can handle a whole lot more data quickly and easily for a smooth image. When you combine that with their 48 and 42-inch OLED models, we're looking at a very tempting gaming option. Not to be left behind anymore, Sony are also bringing a 48 and 42-inch OLED model, the A90K, which I cannot wait to put head-to-head with the competition from LG. I'm betting money on it now that that will be the biggest debate of the year. Now, we can't forget Samsung, who announced a new Tizen-powered gaming hub. They've partnered with Nvidia and Google, and the service will support GeForce, Stadia, and PC game streaming, which means their TVs will work better with your console, especially next-gen consoles like the PS5 for a more streamlined setup. With all of this in mind, I have three TVs that I'm most excited to test out and review this year. So we've got the 4K X95K mini LED TV from Sony, the LG C2 as a follow-up to the very popular C1, and finally the Samsung Micro LED TVs. So what should you be doing now? Do you need to rush out and buy a new TV? The very simple answer is no. I love that TV companies are pushing forwards and pursuing the best possible entertainment that we can access, but one thing I am confident on is that these will all come with some painfully high price tags. On that note, it's interesting that Sony and LG are really pushing their processors as the key to their success of their TVs, and both were released in 2021, so it could be argued that last year was more of the test run building up to this year. The fact that multiple brands are using the same panels shows how important the processors are in the finished product. The release of these new models can make your recently purchased 2021 TV feel like a bad purchase decision, but nothing takes away from how truly impressive those TVs were and still are. So actually the thought that these might become even more affordable is something that I'm maybe more excited about. My view on all of these announcements is yes, there does look to be some awesome new releases coming and some great tech, which I can't wait to test out. But don't let the fear of missing out make you feel you absolutely have to buy a new TV. Now, of course, I might be saying different once I actually test these out, but for now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the new 2022 ranges, so drop a comment and let me know what you think. I'll catch you in our next video. Take care.